We are here with Falu. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I feel good. It's a little cold outside, but I'm happy.
Yeah, we're doing our best to survive the Toronto winter.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself to an artist, introduce yourself as an artist, as if you're talking to someone who has never heard of you before.
Okay. My name's Falu. I'm mainly a graphic designer, but I do a bunch of other stuff. I run a brand. I do a lot of curation for like pop-ups and shows and stuff like that. Um, I model sometimes. I do creative direction. I like recently filmed a commercial, so I did like storyboarding, directing, casting, all that stuff. But mainly do graphic design.
How'd you get into doing graphic design?
I started doing digital art on Clip Studio when I was like maybe 16.
What is that?
Clip Studio is like it's like a software kind of like Photoshop or Illustrator, but it's mainly for illustration. So the purpose of it is usually for like manga and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
But I kind of used it for like trippy, psychedelic, like digital art. And then people started taking notice of it and asked me to do cover arts, and then I started doing that. And I started doing commissions.
What was
Yeah.
like your first like big cover art or first cover art where you noticed you started getting the ball rolling, or that one like what's your first big cover art that really stood out to you?
First big cover art, that's a good question. I think there's been a few that I really enjoyed doing, but one that stood out to me, I dabbled in like animation for a bit, and I like made this like hand-drawn video of like it almost looks like a child like in the womb, and it's like really like creepy and scary, but I took it and created like a cover art from it because someone really liked the video. So I feel like it meant a lot to me that like someone wanted to use a frame of one of my animations for a cover art. But yeah.
I read that. Um, what would you say your biggest inspiration as an artist is?
That's a great question. I want to say nature just because I feel like if I don't go outside, I can't create. Like, and I can't function. So I feel like when I go outside and like I go into like the forest and like, or just like spend time with like, you know, nature, it's very inspiring.
I agree with you. I feel like two parts to that. It's like when you go in nature, you can like really like clear your head and think of things differently. And it's also like interesting to get inspiration from nature.
Yeah.
It's kind of like unique, and like not a lot of people do it, but there's a lot you can really gain from that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Talk about creating your own clothing slash hat brand and how you got from like doing graphic design to want to do more physical clothing and designs that way.
So what happened was like I didn't intend to start a brand. I put together a vendors market. I called it Mood Swing Market, and then I put all these like local artists in it. And at the time I only had like digital art and paintings. So I wanted to make something new. So I just made some hats and I just put them in my display, and then they sold out like immediately. Like super early in the event. And then people just kept asking me throughout the week, like, I need a hat, I need a hat, I need a hat. So I was like, okay, think, what do I do? So I made a website, I made a logo, I did a product shoot like all in one day. Like it was so quick. And then I just launched the website and I was like, this is my brand, Fowler's World, you know the vibes. And then I started like doing pop-ups, taking photos of people in the hats, and now it's like been a year.
Cool.
Yeah.
Um, so you've been doing it for a year now. How would you say creating the brand in terms of like creating the actual designs and like marketing it has changed from when you started to now?
That's a really good question. When I first designed the hats, I was just trying to like, I didn't even have a goal. I was trying to make something look cool. And then I started like taking this font and like playing around with it to the point where I couldn't even like read what it said. And nobody that doesn't know who I am can read the hat. Like everyone's like, what does it say? What does it say? But it says Falu Red, which is my like original design account name. It's like a shade of red that it's created like through the oxidization of coal from like coal mines. So like when I started my account, I like made like super psychedelic, colorful art, but it was all like super dark themed. So I chose the name because it transcended with like what I was doing at the time. So that's why the hats say Falu Red, but I kind of just took the font and like fucked it up and then made the hat. But now everything's more intentional. Like now it's like, okay, I want to make a collection. I want there to be a theme. I want to know like what designs are going where and like what they're being used for, what kind of clothes, what kind of like flyer do I need, what kind of ads do I want, what models do I want. So everything's more intentional now.
That being said, where do you see you yourself taking the brand in the future?
I have a lot of ideas. I really want to do a pop-up in New York. I wanted to do that this year, but I know it was way too soon. Like having a brand that's like less than a year old when I wanted to do it and like not having a plan, I was like, it's too soon. But I want to do that eventually. I would also like to do like a couple week pop-up where I like curate a storefront. I just have a lot of ideas for that, and I can see it in my head. So I'm like, if I could see it, why can't I create it? You know?
No, I like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
There's no reason to rush into it. It's better to plan it because it's never like it can never not happen. You know what I mean? It's better to do it right than to rush it. So I rate that. Going back to cover art, I want to talk about the recent cover art you made for Wavy Jackson and 10K Moz. Talk about the process of making that and the inspiration. It has like such a interesting and just like unique aesthetic to it. I'm really interested to see to hear how you made it.
So that was a very like spontaneous cover. I literally just heard them like saying that they needed a cover, and I was like, okay, bet. So I like went on my computer. I found this like really weird image of like someone wearing like a burlap sack on their head. And then I inverted the colors and made it look super like dark and scary. But the original photo is like some guy like standing in a forest and like he has like a bag on his head. It's a little weird, but it's not scary. So I was like, let me make this a little darker, change the colors. I added the font in there to make it all like more like edgy. And then I made the font chrome, made it red. It was a really quick cover, but it was really fun to make because it was like I had no requirements. I kind of just like threw it together and like made it look cool.
I love that. I feel like the best covers always come when you just tell the artist, just do your thing.
Yeah.
From the song and from the vibes.
Yeah.
What's the like black spots in like the background? That's just part of the forest.
Literally part of the forest. It's like trees and like whatever else was in the image. Like it didn't really take much editing. It was kind of just figuring out how much black and how much white I wanted to use. Because if I were to show you the original image, I don't know if I still have it. It's like, it's not very like contrast. It's more so just like a regular photo of like someone in a forest. Yeah.
So you also do a lot of poster design.
I do.
Recently made the poster for the Shaq Diesel charity basketball event.
I did.
Talk about getting that opportunity and the process of making that.
So similarly to the cover art, I just knew he needed like some really cool branding, and like I saw him like trying to figure out like what he wanted to use for a flyer and whatever. So I was like, okay, let me just make something cool. So then no requirements again. I had like full creative direction. I was like, I want to make a logo. So then I took like the same way I have like Falu's World. I really like making things like kind of like compact in like a world, you know? So
Yeah.
I made the basketball a planet. I was like, let me put a ring around it. Like, then I like literally took his original logo and put it on the basketball and like had to warp it to like be round. Like, it was a lot of detail, but it was really cool to like kind of start with the logo, then make a flyer, then make another flyer, make everything cohesive. It was a big project, but it was really cool.
Dope.
Yeah.
Another poster you did that I really like is the one you made for like prescribed shelter after party. How did you get in contact with those people? And what was the type of process, and what was it like making that poster?
So I've worked with them a couple times. I've known them for a very long time. So maybe like honestly like 4 or 5 years now. But when I met them, I was not the best graphic designer. I was still just like a kid. I was learning how to do what I do now, and now I think they saw a progression. So it's like they hit me up sometimes and I do flyers, and like I'm working on like an EPK for them right now. I'm working on a couple things. So that flyer, he hit me up and he's like, I want something like this. Sent me like something super similar to the one I made. But I was like, I can do this so easily. But he's like, I need it soon. So I didn't do a lot of the creative direction with that one, but I did find a way to like match the style he was going for.
I read it.
Yeah.
Do you have like a favorite poster that you ever made, or like a few of them?
That's a good question. The flyer I made for my brand's first birthday, I really like that one because it's like interactive. Like I don't know if you saw it, but it's like a game machine. The screen is like Falu's World first birthday, and then like all the information is written on like different parts of the game console. So I was really proud of myself for making that one.
That took a long time to make.
No, honestly, I literally like same thing. Like I was just high and I like found an image of a game console, inverted the colors, like placed the text everywhere, and then I like figured out how to animate it. I am not an animator. Like I don't know how to do that stuff, but sometimes I figure out how to do it and I'm like, this works. And it looked really cool.
So when you have
Like a commission that's like a really quick deadline, you have to like learn something completely
So
new,
quick.
but you want to keep the commission. You force yourself to learn it. It can be really. It's interesting how well of an
I do
environment
that
that is to
all
learn
the
new
time.
things. Yeah. So I get exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Now, same thing with your cover art. Do you have like a favorite cover art that you ever made, or like a few of them if you can't pick one?
Like I said before, I really liked making that one it was called Monster. It was like a snippet from one of my animations, but I recently made a cover art for these two girls, Charlie Rose and why am I like blanking right now? I'm gonna figure out her name, but it was basically like a photo of them facing each other, and I put them on like a hill and like surrounded them with trees, so it was kind of like they were coming out of the forest. It was very mystical. And they like I created a version for them because they wanted like the title in a specific spot and like specific colors, but then I created like 3 versions for myself and I posted them. So they're on my page right now, but it's like 2 girls facing each other and it's very like feminine. A lot of the like covers I've done have been like for men, so I liked doing that one because it was for women.
Nice.
Yeah.
I would talk about artworks that I feel like every cover artist like sees covers differently and has a different type of like appreciation for them. So what is your top few like cover artists of all time that aren't yours?
Ooh, that's a tough question. You know what? I really like a lot of Kanye's old covers. Like those are like classics, and also I feel like I'm just seeing the bear, so that's what I'm thinking of. But that's a really, really good question. I really like experimental stuff, so I'm not gonna see like a photo of someone's face and be like, whoa, that's so cool. Like I like things that are abstract and more so like you really have to think about what it means. So like yeah, I feel like I also listen to a lot of music and don't pay attention to who the artist is. So I do have covers in my head, but I don't remember whose covers they are. I would say Mazzy Star though. She has this one cover, it's like purple with like dark purple accents. That one inspired the feminine like cover art that I made. Yeah.
One thing that I always like to ask pretty much everyone that comes on, because I think you can always get really good insight, is what advice would you give to your younger self from 3 to 5 years ago? Because I feel like for a lot of people, it's that time, but it's just like right before they started to get on the path of success, and I feel like that's like such a pivotal time to how you can make your career. What would you give your advice to someone in those same shoes that you once were?
I would say 3-4 years ago, I had no clue. I had no clue about like the structure of what I was doing, but I knew what I wanted to do. Um, and I think like when I think about like when I was in high school, I was in like I took mainly like art classes. I did like all the art classes that I could do. So it was like I was going to school and maybe doing like 3 art classes and then whatever else I had to do. And like I think a lot of those people I was in class with aren't doing those things anymore. So it was like the fact that I kept going, I would just go back and reassure myself to just keep going and like actually maybe like learn how the structure of the business works before I start trying to do it, you know?
No, I
Yeah.
love that answer. Anything else that you want to plug if you want to show off your hats or?
I could definitely show you guys. So like I brought a couple colors. This one's like a special edition, so it's like the pink and the blue. I never really wear hot pink, but a lot of people were requesting this color, so I kind of just threw it together. This one was like the original like bestseller when I first put them out. It was the first one I ever sold actually, the brown and pink. And then I did like a brown and blue for a while, and people kept asking me for the pink. But yeah, I've had a lot of colors and seen a lot of people wearing these, and it's been making me really happy.
Cool. That being said, I appreciate you coming on. We'll have to have you again sometime in the future.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.